Well, hello, morning. Good morning. China did it again, announcing another stimulus. They're cutting the tariffs, U.S. tariffs, slashing them in half to bolster up the imports. So, and I think they've already decided that they just haven't announced yet. They are not going to be satisfying the purchase agreements that was just signed just a few weeks ago here in the trade agreement here in the Washington. So obvious with the disaster that they are going to be under some significant pressure on trade concerns going forward the next quarter. So obvious. So we do have another Chinese stimulus. One second here. Okay, basically, if you can see right here, this is the Uber uptrend that we were in for the market in this growth scenario going forward here. And basically, we are back testing it here on the SPY uh, here at pre-market. So I'm actually thinking the markets are potentially going to fade lower here. So I think that's going to be some critical resistance. But what's going on, you have to keep in mind also, look at what's happening with Tesla. There's this fear of missing out that's just completely unhinged right now in the market. And you see this typically a lot in topping patterns in market participants. And you see this fear of missing out in the indices the past few days. It's just outright unhinged, this driving force to the upside. So, it's a tough call to say that this is a top, but technically, generally, you would see responsive selling at these price points. So just keep that in mind going forward here that, reversion lower, especially considering we're so far outside of our expected moves. SPY for this week, this right here was expected move high on S&Ps for this week, and we are already two standard deviations. We are two standard deviations beyond that move. So just keep that in mind on this move right here. How far outside the expected move we already are, and we are into resistance. So trying to push your longs, be very careful. Okay. Similar situation. The expected move for the Qs right here. We are a more than a two standard deviation move right here, right now on this. And we are in this really tight wedge pattern into some significant resistance. So just keep this as a warning sign for today that, we're probably likely going to digest sideways, but this is something to be very concerned. We are in a very, very tight trading range here in the Qs, and it could be responsive selling later on in the session. Okay, similar situation, on the IWM, more basically a two standard deviation move right up into this area, and we just satisfied an untested virgin point of control. Okay, so typically those are responsive sell points. Once you test them, you come back in away from them, and we are just right below this accelerated uptrend, back testing it too. So we're back testing all three of the major indices here to the upside here of the massive accelerated trend upside. So just keep that in mind going forward into today's session. And then you have your diamonds breaking out to all-time new highs here. So keep that in mind going forward here that we are pushing out. They're above the OPEX, January OPEX. Option holders are finally getting paid here. That trade agreement thing is very bullish for the diamonds, and this is actually probably the area that's going to benefit the most from such a trade agreement. So keep that in mind. If we were to mark new highs over the pre-market session, we have what could potentially be a massive potential move setting up for the diamonds. So on the bullish side, I want to keep this one pointed out here. The situation we're setting up here in the diamonds, that this is a blow off top scenario for diamonds with the ranges that are setting up with my market webs. So you know that you have to be cognizant of the situation that we're in right here. That we are on the major indices, we are running into a trend resistance, but the diamonds who benefit the most from these tariff reductions, they could be actually ready to explode here to the upside. Always keep that in the back of your mind. What could be potentially setting up here? It might need a little bit more time for the move higher, but just a warning sign that the diamonds are wanting to push up here to the 298 test this week. So I firmly believe that's a good, very strong possibility for this week here on the diamonds. Even though we are beyond a 2 standard deviation move for the week on it, I don't have those drawn on this chart. BIDU is reporting this week. Keep that in mind. This is going to be a telltale tale of what's going on with China equities. Okay, and when they issue that guidance, it's likely to be quite bad. I kind of expect the earnings to be okay, but if the earnings were to happen to miss, and then plus with the additional guidance, I'm leaning to the downside that we're going to be coming down here to the untested virgin point of control, the 118 area, potentially here on BIDU, in face of such serious concerns here in China. And I do not think the markets are factoring in all of the financial risk associated with the China market. So just keep that in mind. I think there's a lot of downside potential for BIDU coming into the end of the week. So they report tonight, I think, overnight tonight, going into tomorrow. So that's why I'm kind of leaning that could be drawing down equities going into tomorrow. And that big move in the diamonds may not actually hit till next week. Okay. Uber's reporting this week, and they have been making some decent headways on the earnings per share, or the earnings per share over the past several quarters. And I am kind of leaning to think that Uber is actually going to be turning a profit for the first time in its history. So just keep this in watch. If what my scenario is potentially setting up here, that there could be a massive short squeeze in Uber to the upside if they were to finally turn positive for a 10% plus gain in this stock. This is a unicorn, just like Tesla. And once that turns positive, investors are really wanting to be into the growth sector of Uber. And Lyft turned positive last quarter and had a good earnings results. It hasn't really done much since then. But this is something I'm watching. Uber is reporting. I thought it was reporting. Yeah, maybe reporting this morning. So just keep that one on watch. Maybe it's already reported. Let me check here. Nope, it's reporting tonight. That's what I thought. Okay, just keep that one on your watch, okay? MU had a really nice upgrade today. Very strong, $70 target. It's already blown through 2 of my untested virgin point of controls, and holding up here near the highs as a session today. That I do have one more untested virgin point of control if the markets were to catch a bid. I'm kind of leery, thinking that we've already blown through 2 of these, and the Qs seem to be potentially into a resistance zone, in my opinion. So just be aware of this situation. Okay, on our ETF front, still quite a very low volume today. The markets are digesting these massive moves, it seems like, here. So keep that in mind. We do have Uh, seems that we are in a digestive phase here on the open. Uh, they've had the massive run-ups in the indices in the overnight session, and now the markets are trying to decide whether or not volume is going to support price. So keep that in mind going forward here. And you have so we have our S&P 500 top volume. Gilead is the leader on the leaderboard. Uh, it had earnings yesterday, so it doesn't. It seems to be ticking up a little bit today. That's not really one. You got AMD in sympathy of Gilead, Micron. It's catching a bid. Apple was a leader early on in the session. With those tariff cuts, that's obviously going to, impact or potentially be a bullish sign for Apple. And it looks like GE's actually come up on the top of the board now too. GE and Facebook. Okay, so just some things that are really active today. Looky here. What gets me? You look at my two scans here. Tesla selling off this morning. Tesla's not even on the scans at all. That's really amazing that I did both of these scans. And well, let me try the NASDAQ 100 real quick. Maybe it show up on my NASDAQ 100. There it is. Okay, I'm sorry. I had the wrong scan up. Yeah. Tesla was down to like 704 a little bit ago, so it was really taking it on the chin here early in the markets. And then you have your Micron with the upgrade. So Microsoft continues to go higher. We had an op-ed this morning on JD.com how they are delivering packages door to door and very, very busy in this crisis in China. So we could start seeing some responsive buying into JD based off that op-ed they had this morning on CNBC. So that's something you may want to be keeping on your watch here. NVIDIA's catching another bid today, and earnings are coming out later this week. So keep that one on watch. It's getting bid up. Okay. One of my main charts I want to keep on my watch list here, and that's the XLF. As you can see, I have a fib fans drawn out here. And we are in a uber bullish scenario here on our financials. Give me 1 second here. Let me go down time frames here. Okay, we are breaking out of a fib fan zone here, and we are right up into right here right now. We are running into a pivot resistance on our financials. So keep that in mind. This could be topping out for the session here on our XLF financials. So I have a lot of reasons to think they're going to sell the open here this morning. So just keep that in mind going forward here. The financials have been a major driving force for this move higher in the markets. So just keep that in the back of your mind and running into, it seems like to me a lot of reasons for there to be resistance going forward in today's session. So good luck, and I think I'm going to be trying to get some selective puts on the open. So that's kind of the way I'm leaning today. So I will see you in the trading rooms.